Shalom, shalom, friends. It's good to see you and be with you again on another Tuesday afternoon where I am speaking in Gainesville, Florida, a little bit overcast and just finished raining here. So, I love finding patterns of symphonies that are right under our nose. Patterns that play out and we don't even notice. For years and years and years, I have been aware that we have in the prayer book a psalm of the day. A psalm for Monday, a psalm for Tuesday, a psalm for Wednesday, and I've read these automatically, know them automatically, and yet never thought about too much the symphony that they play out. Let me describe it for you. You see, on Sunday we have a psalm that describes how beautiful creation is, how beautiful the world of creation is when we behold all that is around us. And then on Monday, we have a psalm that describes an idealized vision of the city of David, of Jerusalem, the city of peace, God's city, that city. And it's an idealized city of a beautiful city where hearts swell, where spirit of holiness is felt. In truth, we know that this is a vision of something that at least for the psalmist who wrote that poem was hoping one day would be accomplished. Today is Tuesday, though. And what do we get for Tuesday? Tuesday, we have Psalm 82 as our chosen psalm. And in the poetry of today's psalm, we hear a conversation between God and the angels. And God says to the angels, "What is it that you're doing? How long is evil, a perverted justice, going to reign in the world? How long is it possible that the orphan and the widow," in this particular language of the Bible, the orphan and the widow are representative of the underclass. How long are they going to have to suffer before you wake up and realize that there are those in need? We didn't live in that idealized world of creation or that idealized city for very long before our daily liturgy brings us to the realization that we have a huge task in this world. There exists so much evil, so much difficulty, so much pain and suffering. It's as if we're given the beginning of a symphony, starting off with a magnificent display of music and beauty. Then, in the next movement, the movement for today, the movement for Tuesday, a realization that we don't live in a world that's simply beautiful. We can't hide in the clouds and say everything is gorgeous and there is no ugliness in the world. When God speaks to the angels in this imagined conversation of Psalm 82, God says, you need to rescue the lowly. You need to save them from those who want to do them harm. And God awaits for a response, but then he realizes they don't comprehend. They don't understand. They are so busy going about in darkness that they're not paying any attention. Even though this is a conversation, of course, between God and angels, we understand that it is a conversation for us as human beings. And how does the psalm end? The psalm ends with a bitter rebuke from God, who says, I thought you were divine beings. I thought you were angels. But you will fall. So it's a plea for justice. And it's a plea for living in a world of reality. In future weeks, we're going to look at what does this symphony that began so beautifully on Sunday, continued on Monday, and then shakes us on Tuesday, how does it continue? What does Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Shabbat, what do they bring? How is the symphony of this liturgical piece, a psalm a day, inform us, carry us, and allow us to live in this world with greater awareness? Friends, we'll conclude, as we always do, with a short prayer. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbam, b'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbam v'varach li'olam li'omei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitboar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yidadar v'yidaleh v'yidalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu, Li'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim olenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Aseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, olenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. If you have comments or want to respond, my email address is here on the screen. You're welcome to drop me a line at any time. Be well, friends. See you next week.